and they're going to tell you their name, maybe a little bit about how they got started really quickly, and then maybe like your favorite costume or cosplay you've ever done, or your favorite one you've done. Something good question? Good question. Okay. She will be back. She had to run her phone out, so we're gonna actually start on this end.
My name is Dan Hawk. The best thing I like to do is steampunk, if you can't tell. But I've done several other characters like Halo, several other ones.
I'm a generic nobody right now. I had a costume problem when I came in. Normally that happens to most cosplayers before a great event and everything. But no, my name is Alan Townsend. I'm actually with the Tywin Alliance. I run I'm the president of it. Also with the Rebel Legion. I am a Old Republic Jedi. And so far that was probably one of my favorites. I do Shaggy from Scooby-Doo every now and then. But it sounds funny, but Shaggy is a little bit more fun to be in because it's a lot more relaxing and it's pretty simple to do.
Okay. My name. So that happens. My name is Rebecca Hawk, and this one's probably not my favorite, but it's fun. It's also a lot to wear, so I guess my favorite one. Not my favorite. I can't decide on a favorite one. I do too many, but I got started in cosplay when he did over there with the steampunk because he's my dad, so he did it. It's fun. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Chen. I got started in cosplay technically 7 years ago. I started it because one of my best friends and I were headed to our first con and we were going to cosplay, and neither of us could necessarily afford to buy pre-made costumes, and it was a lot harder to find decent pre-made costumes at the time. So I was like, all right, I'm about to make Advent Children Tifa Lockhart and a Mistress uniform from Fullmetal Alchemist, and those were not good costumes to start with, especially the Mistress one. But you know, I figured it out and I'm still going. Favorite costume that I have made so far, I don't know if anyone's gonna know this, but it would probably be my Saray costume from a video game called Tales of Systeria. Yeah, I love the costume a lot, for many reasons.
Hi! Oh, it's loud.
It is loud.
My name is Heather. My cosplay name is Toa Cosplay. It's T-O-A, Toa. And I'm really obsessed with like the kawaii culture, like Japanese fashion. So most of the things that I cosplay are either really, really, really cute and sweet, or I don't really do anything scarier when I think about it. I've been a costumer for 15 years probably, and now I actually run a business, character party business. So I actually turned my love of costuming into a career. My favorite costume is one of the ones I made that I really loved. It's obscure too. Lala Dabu from Tula Brew. She has like this cool spade's tail and she's really cute.
Awesome. So I do have some list of general questions to ask them, unless anybody wants to be brave and start asking questions. Yeah? 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 Okay. Is that a hand? No? Okay. So the question is, for all the panelists, for those of us who maybe have never done cosplay or have never made our own costumes, what are some of your best tips and tricks of how to get started? I'll let you think about that, whoever wants to answer first. Just pass the mic around, guys.
I guess I would say it's kind of start small unless you're prepared to do something huge. I just mean that because like wearing a lot at once is like a lot. So you kind of should work your way into it unless you really, really want to do something like super cool. I don't know. Yeah.
Does everybody understand the term cosplay? It means costume play. The word originated in Japan. So, and it just means to become the character that you love. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to make your own costume. A lot of the people sitting behind this table, we enjoy making it ourselves, just because when you put your literal blood, sweat, and tears into making something, you enjoy wearing it so much more. But you still can buy things. You can still buy a whole costume nowadays online, pretty cheap, sometimes cheaper than you can make it. But for me, it's all about making something because I love that character so much. So for me, I'm really excited because, does anybody know Fruits Basket, the anime? It just came back out again. And so I was so excited because one of my first costumes that I made, the whole outfit by myself, was Toramata from Fruits Basket. And so when I think about how you get started, really it's falling in love with the character. That is the way that I got started in any kind of cosplay myself. It was just loving the character, and I really wanted to dress up as her and become her. So that was how I got started.
I would say don't be intimidated by skill level, either yours or anyone else's, because a lot of cosplayers will tell you that they started out not knowing how to do anything, and they didn't have what you might consider good abilities. When I first started sewing cosplay, my sewing machine terrified me. I'm going to plug it in and turn it on and it's going to blow up when I try to use it. This probably isn't a good idea. And there are a lot of resources out there for you to use when you're getting started. You can look for general tips and tricks online of basics of sewing, and you can also look for things that are more specific about whatever costume you pick to do, because more than likely, whatever you want to do when you start off with is cosplaying. Someone has probably done it or something similar, and can help you figure out what you need to do to bring your idea to life. Yes, Google.
Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend.
She stole my comment, but like she said, keep it simple. A little acronym I like using is KISS, not the rock group. Keep it simple, stupid, When I did my first Jedi, the Old Republic Jedi, which basically is Ben Kenobi, more or less, I had some really good help from other people that had been doing cosplaying. And so if you get connected with somebody like some of the fan groups, or just somebody that does cosplaying itself, you really get a lot of resources from them. It's almost like a teacher and a student type of relationship that you kind of learn from them. And then when you start to do it yourself, that saying of measure twice and cut once, it really is true. It really is true. Dan?
Yeah, Google is your friend. You just try to imagine what your costume is going to be like, whether it's anime, video games. Just keep that object in your head, look it up on Google, look up every different direction that this costume could go as, and give it a couple days and try to think about exactly how you want to, what you want to make it out of, whether it's foam, material, and then we're with Tywear Cosplay. You can give us a call and we'll help you make it.
So all good places to get started. So we talked about how for cosplay, it can be something you make, but it can also be something that you bought. So which brings us to budget. What are some good tips, tricks for starting out for your first cosplay? Like good places maybe to go look for, like thrifting or, stores or anything like that, or any advice when it comes to setting a budget for when you're working on your cosplay?
Biggest advice I got was actually your thrift stores. Unfortunately, I'm a big guy, so some of the thrift stores doesn't have my size, so either have to help me find somebody to help make it, or either or buy it outright. Sometimes I've started to learn if you got somebody that does a 3D printer, you're making props and stuff for your costume, that's really helpful. And let's see. And my biggest thing thing that helped me was I had a person that was helping me with my costume, and she was actually passing it down. So all she had to do was do some alterations to it so it would fit me. So that was helpful too. And basically, cheaping out, doing it as cheap as possible is the best thing to do, because it can get real expensive. I'm sure everybody knows in the cosplaying world it can get real expensive. But
Expensive hobby.
yes, ma'am. Dan, you got anything?
Yeah, thrift stores, most of this armor I got from a thrift store. It's foam padding, football gear, and I like to use a lot of foam with this, and then wood, and then a combination of wood and foam with the red thing back behind me. Yeah, the thrift stores are one of the best ways to go about it. Amazon is a good way, as long as you know your sizes and different, like my boots are female boots, but they're size 13. So, yeah, I couldn't find male boots in this.
So yeah, thrift stores, look up your thrift stores, make a list of them, visit them often. Amazon, eBay. Amazon and especially eBay I have found really good for when you're looking for like little findings and bits and pieces of like specific types of charms and that sort of thing that you need to accessorize like an outfit or make jewelry, and you need just parameters like a gold diamond shaped pin. It'll turn back a ton of options for you, usually in bulk packages, so like anywhere between like 5 to a dozen or so in a package for like $3 or $4. You might have to wait a little bit while for them to arrive, but definitely a good way to find some of those things that can be harder to find other places and in larger quantities. Also mind your craft store sales, because they're your friend when you have to buy fabric. And keep track of what you spend on any given costume, because the more that you do cosplays, the more costumes that you do, if you start keeping track of that and then doing a final tally of this is how much I spent on this, it might hurt you a little bit to look at sometimes, but you will start to get a feel for a costume of this level of intricacy is going to cost me about this much. A costume that's a little more simpler is going to cost me this much. If I want to do something ridiculous and over the top, this is probably going to cost me a lot.
So the first thing I do when I decide I'm going to cosplay a character is I screen cap images of that character. Whether it's cartoon, TV, movie, if it's in a book, then obviously I'm just going to find images of it from the book. But I try to find all the angles, because for me, like, I like to style my own wigs as well. So I want to have the image, and then I write out a list of every possible thing that I'm going to need to make this costume, including hot glue or notions like buttons, zippers, whatever. You know, how am I going to get into this costume? Like one time I made Officer Jenny, and she has this panel, for Pokemon, she has this panel in the front, and there's no zippers on her outfit, so I'm like, how am I going to get into this top? So I did like an invisible zipper down in the front, and then the panel came over and it velcroed so it would close and nobody would see any zippers on it, but that was just how I wanted to make the costume. So yeah, I make a list, and then I budget myself based on the list that I made, because if the list has 50 things on there, then I know this is going to be, like you were saying, an expensive costume.
I'll hand it to you. So she mentioned like listing everything out, which I do the same thing, but the expense is in the details. You're gonna find that while if you're doing something like where you have to sew a dress or something, the fabric might cost you a bit, but once you add up all your charms, your trims, your zippers, your buttons, your paints for props and stuff, that's probably gonna be the biggest expense line for that particular costume.
And sometimes for like clothes or anything, you can sometimes just see what you have in your closet and see if you can reuse it for different costumes. Like most of my costumes, I use multiple parts for other ones. So you can see about doing that.
And also, if you're doing a cosplay where say for instance, you need a certain color of pants or a shirt, and you know during, say, the fall and winter time, like browns and earth tones start coming out, that's the time to buy it, because they're not going to come back around probably for another year or so. At least I know for a Jedi, and you know, all the earth tones kind of seem to come out during the fall. So if I buy one pair of pants, I'm actually going to buy 2 pair of pants. So then if that one wears out, I have a backup. So.
I have a question. Of course. You don't have to bring the mic to me. Oh, I can project. Body paint and makeup. How do you balance between it won't sweat off, but you can get it off? And are there brands that you prefer over other brands?
Yes, well, I have this one makeup for the face paint. I literally can't remember what it's called, but I have it somewhere. And it works really well. And they use a setting spray on top of it, so then it stays on. But I would only recommend doing that for your, like, your face, neck, and maybe shoulders. Because I have gloves on too, for my hands and my foot. But yeah. And then for your face, you're gonna want to like contour it with the colors like darker blues or lighter blue, purples and stuff to make it look like natural skin color. Because if you don't contour it, it's just gonna look super creepy. Unless that's what you're going for, then maybe do that. But yeah.
So Graftobian is probably, that's the higher end professional grade body paint that you would want to use. Marin is a really good, that's the brand that I normally use, probably Marin. Marin's really good, you just have to layer it. And so for me, I have an airbrush gun because it's just the level that I'm at, but when I started putting on body paint, it was just with makeup sponges and layering. So you would put a layer on and then you would spray, like she said, with the sealer. They sell actual sealer spray for Marin, but really, I'm not gonna lie, cheap hairspray works amazing. It seals body paint, especially if you're not gonna wear it longer than like 4 hours. It seals body paint. I was Gamora in 90-degree weather on 4th of July and high-fiving kids, and they would look at their hand thinking the paint was gonna come off, and it did not even come off of me at all. And so I was green from head to toe. But yes, gloves work really well, like, or you can get, they're called Zentai suits, like something like that. But anyway, they're like a full body zipper suit that you put your hands in, your fingers, it comes up to your neck. So like if you have to be full body, so one of my characters for my company is Poppy from Trolls. We're pink from, like, you know, pink from head to toe, so I'm wearing a Zentai suit, and then we paint our face the pink shades and do all the contouring and stuff. And you can get all of the paints on Amazon, or you can go online and look for like Face Painter's website, because they're using professional body grade paint. And you want it to be professional body grade paint and not just like acrylics or anything like that, because it'll make your skin like just tear your skin up if you don't use the body grade paint. But I think like one of the little cakes, they're like a circular size. I think they're like 20 ounces of paint. They're probably $12. It's not, and that would cover a lot. You could use it more than once. So yeah, hairspray. Hairspray keeps it on.
Is that aerosol hairspray or?
Yeah, aerosol, like Aquanet, like cheap.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything to say about body paint? So,
Yeah, I'll need the mic. It's the. I was wondering, well, that was loud. I was wondering if maybe you had like a moment where someone was saying, "Oh, your costume is so great," and you're just thinking to yourself, "Really? It has all these flaws." I had that in my Alfred Newman costume.
Yes, and it happens a lot because you have to think the artist is their own worst critic. Cosplayer is an artist. So you're thinking to yourself, oh man, this, that, and the other thing, like I had to cut this detail because I didn't have time or money, I botched this up, the lines for these scenes are screwy, the painting's a little wonky, etc., etc. You more than likely no one else is going to notice that unless they're obnoxiously close to you, in which case I have other questions. But the only reason that you're aware of those is because you spent so much time on this. You've been up close and personal with it for probably hours, if not days of your life. Whereas to most people, they just see the whole. And those little details that may not quite be perfect, they fade into the background.
Yeah, basically.
I carry a tool bag with me, and it's got wire, duct tape, pins, glue, just about everything you need to almost rebuild your outfit, and I carry around at all the cons we go to. That's one of the biggest things, is if something falls apart on you, it's a, what do you call that?
We call it,
Yeah, wardrobe malfunction. And it happens to everybody all the time, and it's just a good idea to bring extra stuff with you to put your costume back together.
and then if you're ever with some of the larger groups, and sometimes you get groups that actually critique your work, and that can be a pain. A lot of times I look at it this way: if you take a cartoon or a video game or whatever, and you bring it to life, and you put a smile on somebody's face, that's all the critique I need. I can care less what anybody else thinks for the most part. But on the handler side, that's what we call a assistant. So if I'm taking care of her and I'm the handler, I want to make sure I have all that extra stuff: batteries, wire, duct tape is great, it keeps it together. All sorts of things. Water, that cosplayer may need some water when he or she's in the middle of the summer. So I'm kind of like, hey, if I'm doing all the work and making my cosplay, it's going to be my decision and everything. I think everybody else probably feels the same way. But I also know some people that are very, 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 very particular about how they look. And if it ain't right, or if they got the right symbol how they want it, they will not wear it until it is 100%.
Any other questions at the moment? Yeah? Okay. So we talked a lot about, you both have mentioned it, like Tidewater Cosplay Association, the Rebel Legion, and Tidewater Alliance. How do you all, so for new up-and-comers who maybe want advice, want a mentor, maybe want to join a group, how do you go about finding other cosplayers or other people who do make costumes in this area that they can maybe connect with, or get advice from, or that kind of thing?
We have a mentorship program in our Facebook group. We have a mentorship program in our Facebook group. You just go on there, you sign up, and a mentor will pick up on you within a couple days.
The Alliance is more or less like kind of like a virus. And what I mean is when I first joined it, I thought it was just a Star Wars fan group, and then I saw people dressed up as my favorite characters, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, how can I get involved? Go out and buy this. When you got that, come back and we'll talk about the next piece you need. So it's kind of like a little bit of an adventure, you might say. And so basically, other groups can help you. Then there are groups there are people inside those groups that know other people. So it's a huge network of people that will do it. And most of the time, they probably geek out with you and say, oh, let me show you how I did this. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you a better way of how to do this. And so I would say get connected with somebody that's cosplay, the groups, their fan groups and everything. And hey, Google is great too. You learn a lot from them as well.
So where I grew up was not here. I'm originally from Indiana, and when I started cosplaying, I was in Indiana. When I started learning how to sew, I was in Indiana. And we didn't really have anything like the Tidewater Alliance or anything like that available to us. So I basically just found a couple other friends who were interested in cosplaying as well and figuring out how to do it, and we sat down and we stumbled through how to start cosplaying and how to sew together. So like mentorship program is great, I love that. But also just finding other people that you're close with, that you hang out with regularly or interested in as well, so that you can like have cosplay parties, get together, bring your projects, eat pizza, cry, and get frustrated, and repeat.
I would say there's a lot of conventions, local conventions, up and down the East Coast and locally here. I know NecoCon's in November and that's like anime based, but really it's kind of turned into an all genre convention, which is like this convention is. But you know, starting out like with this little library convention, there's another one in September, ShogaCon, here at this library, and this is a great way to meet new people. You see somebody in a costume and you're like, I know that character, I want to go talk to them. Like that's the best way to start out in the whole cosplay world, is making friends with other people that have the same interests as you. And whether you've never made a costume, never worn a costume, you can make friends with people. I mean, I remember so many times I would make like so many costumes for my friends just because I wanted them to be with me and go to cons with me. And I made new friends at conventions, and some of my very best friends to this day I met from going to a convention.
So speaking of... Sorry. No, you're good. No, you're
And I'm gonna just piggyback on what you just said.
You guys have meetups and stuff.
Well, what we call the big three, or the Rebel Legion, the 501st, and the Mandalorians, they have what is called armor parties. And basically what it is like she was saying, it's a bunch of cosplayers, say within that group, that are getting together and working on a project. And some of these people actually have their houses set up where they have different things. For example, Mr. Hawk here and his family, they have Tidewater cosplayers. Their house and everything is very much set up like that. You could actually get with him and say, hey, I want to work on this type of project, and they could actually lead you the way. And why not socialize? Like you said, have some pizza, have something to drink, and start on a project. And then guess what? You're connected. You're hooked. So that I like that. I like how you said that. That's the best way. And then you can cry, like you said, and make a mistake.
ask how many tears go by in these things.
And you quit cosplay, and then you say, you legit will quit cosplay the first time you make something. Actually, a lot of times when you're making something, because you'll get frustrated and you're like, I'm never going to do this again. And then when you go to the event and you wear it, at least for myself, probably. Okay, good. Yeah, then when you wear it and you feel like you've accomplished it and you finished it, and other people are recognizing your work, then you're like, I have to do this again. What am I going to do next? And it's just like this perpetual love-hate relationship with cosplay.
You get addicted to it, right? Like you get to that, like, yes, this is sad and crying and tears, and then suddenly, oh, this is awesome. Any questions yet? Other questions yet from the audience? No? No? So we talked about, meeting up with people and then going to cons and then like, having people like appreciate your cosplay. So talk about, so there's a lot of, I guess, body language that goes into cosplay, because as Heather said, it's about like costume play. So like playing the character, playing with the costume, like being in that role. And one of the things is, we've all approached people and been like, your costume is amazing, can I take your picture? Do you all have any advice for like posing for pictures or being with people as they're, trying to get your picture, or, good tips and tricks for yourself as being on the other side of the camera? Things you have found that, make it better to show up on camera, that kind of thing. So that's like a really broad category.
I was just gonna say that when you're posing, you have to be mindful of where your light is, especially if it's something where you're not wearing a mask. You just gotta seek your light. Any picture, if you're not facing the light, it's gonna be dark and it's gonna gonna not translate right. And then also look into the way your character poses. There's lots of images, like intro images, or just different like cutscenes or things like that from whatever your character is, especially if it's like a video game or something, that can help you with posing.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Know your character. I mean, obviously, a Jedi is not going to look like a Sith in front of the picture. And two, I think that it's important for you in character to, you know, for example, if I have my lightsaber, the first thing I want to do is say, "Here you go, little girl. Why don't you hold on to it?" And then I'm going to sit behind her like I'm protecting her, letting her use the Force, that sort of thing. So I would definitely say make sure you know your character. Say know their quotes, what they say, what they don't say, and everything else, versus just being there like this. Yeah, you're definitely not in character. And I know some people that really go into character. It's like, James, are you alright?
As long as you're having fun, that is the most important thing about cosplay, is that you're having fun, and that don't let other people bully you into feeling like you're not doing a good job or you're not a good cosplayer because maybe you're not like exactly like that character. I've had complete strangers walk up to me and tell me, your outfit isn't this way, you're not that character. Now they wanted my outfit to be way more risque than it was, and I was like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna have my outfit like that. I'm sorry that you think that's the only thing about this character. But so just, you have to be, understand that other people are gonna say what they want to say, but really it's about you and the character that you love and you having fun.
Yeah, we've got the TARDIS out front there, and usually we have about 5 or 6 extra props around, so we can hand those to the kids or other people that are posing with us. And a lot of times I like doing like one step forward and one step back and kind of like get into a balance, depending on the character you're doing. But at least so you look like you're almost in action for the picture.
Piggybacking off of what's already been said, know your character, all of that. Practicing in front of a mirror is great, because one of the, like, what he's talking about, you want to pose in a way that's more dynamic, it's more interesting to look at, and also it's going to help with like pictures and stuff, it's going to help give depth, because cameras are not nearly as good as the human eye at giving you a sense of depth, so you kind of have to do that with how you're posing. But the trick with that is, I can pretty much guarantee you, if you strike a pose, if you're not used to like looking at yourself and seeing like what your body doing, doing things, you're probably not as dynamic as I'm stretching all the way out, like looks super good and dynamic and perspective and whatnot, and you're probably just more like this, because you're not used to, like, it feels like you're stretching far, but what you think what you're seeing in your mind's eye and what your body is actually doing are two different things. So practicing in front of a mirror and getting used to seeing, okay, when I do this, when I do this, when I do this, this is how it actually looks.
So we have about 10 minutes. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? I knew you were going to ask a question. You were going to get to it.
How important are the props?
Good question. Good question. Who would like to do that first?
I'll tell you if you got my candy. It's an inside joke. I know her.
I figured so, but I'm like, oh,
So, as a Jedi, I have a lot of props to wear on my belt. Of course, the lightsaber is probably one of the biggest and most iconic ones to have in my hand. But props are very, very important. I was saying earlier about if I knew this now versus back then, you could make your props like a food capsule, 3D print, and I actually made this out of the top of pin, and that was really fun. So prop makes persons, the weapons and everything makes the character. I mean, obviously, you know, Han Solo wouldn't be complete without his belt and his gun. So I would say take some time and either try to make your props, or either I found out that Etsy and all them, a lot of resources on stuff like that. You may have to paint them, clean them up, weather them, whatever, but that's very important. I think so. I think it makes the character for sure.
I would say it depends on the character and how recognizable they are with the prop than without. Like, because some characters you can't tell who they are without the prop, but sometimes the costume really gives away who the character is. But the prop does help if you need it.
Yeah, what she said, especially if you have a more iconic character, or if it's a simpler design that the most iconic thing about it is the prop. Like, a lot of the designs, a lot of styles of, this wasn't going to be my example, but I felt that would be a little too narcissistic.
It's a really good example.
Okay, I will use this as my example, since I have been told to. So, like, my current cosplay is Assassin's Creed. And the two most iconic things for Assassin's Creed are the Assassin's Creed symbol, that I'm sitting down so you probably can't see it right now, and her prop, the hidden blade. I'll get it later.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, there's an on-off switch, which is really nice, because otherwise, like, I'd brush it against my side and accidentally trigger it. I've done that before. So yeah, the on-off switch is nice, but yeah. But so like, the costume itself is not necessarily the most recognizable. Like, Assassin's Creed has like very nice, clean silhouettes, but they're simple silhouettes. You're not going to look at it and go, oh, that's Princess Toad from Mario. No. You're going to be like, oh, like, that's a nice, clean silhouette. It looks sharp. And that's about it. But the hidden blade and the symbol are what give it away. But for more intricate designs, not necessarily the case. And especially for those designs where the prop isn't as iconic, if you run out of time, or something's not working, or it didn't come in the mail in time, heaven forbid, I've been there before, don't stress about it, because it's okay. You can come up with some witty reason why, like, you don't have your lightsaber. If you're doing a Jedi, just be like, a Sith destroyed it. Goodness knows, Anakin lost his enough time.
Yeah, don't not wear your costume that you worked so hard on, or that you bought or whatever, to that event because you're missing one small detail. Even though it might be a big, gigantic site, you know, or whatever, it doesn't necessarily, people would still recognize Ruby without her sight. At least I would, personally. And you know what? And that's the people that you want to make friends with, because they obviously know the character. Let's just be real, right? So, yeah, I mean, props are really awesome. They are important. They do help, like, round out your costume, especially if it is an iconic prop for that character, but it's not like an end-all, break-all. Sometimes you might not have that much in your budget. Maybe it's something you want to add to your costume later that you haven't gotten to yet.
So I think we're almost at time. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything else you'd like to ask our panel? No? Oh,
Just one comment about props and weapons in particular. There are a lot of cons where the only time you can wear a weapon is during the costume contest. There are a lot of cons that, something like that, you can't take them out on the floor because it's too crowded.
Well, with guns nowadays too, the
Right.
guns restrictions have gone, you can't almost bring anything in there.
Pass the mic, please, I can't hear you.
Yeah, so most cons have an actual booth that you have to go up to, and they tag it with a zip tie. It's like orange, and you have to go check your weapon. They check the height requirements, and you have to meet the requirements in order to use it, including like the prop guns and things like that. So, I mean, I know at least most of the cons I go to, most of the conventions on the East Coast, and they allow you to bring them in to the actual facility, but you have to meet their requirements that they've listed on their website, and then you have to get your prop checked out by their staff, so.
Yeah, legally, anything with a trigger on it, you can't bring it in, no matter whether it has red tips, anything like that. With the problems we've been having with school shootings and stuff, anything with a trigger, they won't allow you to bring it in there.
Is that like a specific con that you know of?
That's almost all, you know.
Necrocon still doesn't.
And council
They don't, yeah. Or Oticon.
Council will look at it and tag and be like, it's not a gun.
Oh,
They just zip tie the trigger now. I mean, they're letting us bring prop buttons into Necrocon and Capsicon and, at least I know those three.
A lot of cons though, like usually there's a hit requirement, you have to get it tagged, no live steel. So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, no live steel. No sharp edges. No sharp edges, nothing overly heavy.
The tags are like this, they put on.
So what I'm getting from this is, before you go to a con, make sure you know the rules. Check the rules of the con, because you don't want to spend all your time making something, and then you're not able to bring it in because you missed that the height was, it had to be under this height, or it couldn't have a trigger of some kind on it. So it's always important before you go to a con to read like how they want, because each con is going to be different, depending, so.
And that applies not just weapons, but also to costumes.
Yep.
Because a lot of cons have rules about like how much skin you can show and that sort of thing.
So make sure you check those as well. You will probably walk the floor and see people that you're like, they are definitely not following the rules on that. Okay, and you'll have some questions, but better that you follow the guidelines yourself and not potentially get pulled aside by con security and either told to change or potentially banned temporarily or permanently, than take the risk, because it's not worth it.
I was just gonna say, always follow the rules for cons, like if they have specific things that you can and can't do, like for costumes or props or anything, just, it's safer not to do it if you're concerned.
And then make sure your vision is clear. I know that they have rules on that. And then sometimes, like, if you're gonna go into the dealer's room, for instance, like at specific conventions, they would never let me walk in with this head on. They would tell me I have to take it off, because you can't be masked and then go into a place where you're purchasing, sometimes there's knife tables and things like that there, so that they have to see your face. So just be prepared that you might be told to take parts of your costume off or cover up in certain.
You are signing up for the costume contest or the...
All right, thank you guys very much.
Add to that the art rooms.
Oh yeah, the dealers and art rooms, yeah. Well, thank you guys so very, very much. I really, really appreciate y'all being willing to sit on our panel. Can you give our panel a first round of applause? Y'all feel free to stay in your seats because the costume contest will be starting at roughly about 3:15. And some of these lovely folk will actually be on that judging panel, unless you're, of course, participating, in which case you can head out to the hallway out there. So, thank you guys again so much.